Hello you lovely lot, my name is Max, welcome back to my YouTube channel and another Nottingham Forest match preview where today we are detailing our second home game of the season taking on Antonio Conte's high-flying Spurs side. Of course, if you're new around here, the format of these videos goes as follows. We start with an initial discussion of our opponents, giving some context to the game in hand. We then talk about some of the key stats and players surrounding that side before doing a deep dive into the tactics and what we can expect on the day from that side, followed by a score prediction from me at the end of the video. So if you are new around here and you like this kind of content, don't forget to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell so you don't miss a single match preview or potentially the last couple of player profiles before the end of the summer transfer window. And with all that being said, let's get talking about Spurs. So as we usually do, we'll be providing a bit of context to kick off this video, giving some detail as to what Spurs' last 12 months or so has been like. And I've got to say, the last season for them was definitely an interesting one, a tale of two halves of their campaign, starting pretty poorly under former Wolves manager Nuno Espirito Santo, but finishing the campaign really strongly, finishing fourth and qualifying for the Champions League under former Chelsea and Juve manager Antonio Conte. And having only lost 6 league games since taking charge of the club, Tottenham looked like a team rejuvenated under the Italian, picking up 2 wins and a draw in the opening stages of this season, including a 1-0 win last time out against Wolves thanks to a late second half goal from Harry Kane from a corner. And generally, they look like a really good side at the time of recording. According to expected goals, they have the 8th best attack and the 4th best defence in the league. Very solid at both ends of the pitch and definitely looking like, maybe not a title favourite, but definitely a favourite for the top 4 this season. So that being summarised, let's give some stats a bit of attention in this video and start dissecting some of the statistics and key players in this Spurs side. In terms of their attack, Spurs definitely look like they're picking up from where they left off last season. They have the 4th best goal record at the time of recording, just like last season when they finished up 4th in the Premier League, and their XG isn't quite the same as it was last season in terms of their positioning in the league, but still very solid. And when you took a look at shots per 90 minutes, they're actually making marginal improvements in this metric. All this basically summarises that they are a team moving generally in the right direction. And my sort of general observation from that is that Spurs look like a team that are progressively getting better under Antonio Conte. No one can argue that they've taken any form of a step back heading into this season compared to where they were at the end of the last campaign. And I would imagine they'll probably end up finishing in a stronger position than they did last season. Now, if we switch perspective and look at their defence, it's not quite as clear-cut, the improvements in this system. They are consistently one of the highest shot conceding sides in the Premier League, both this season and last season. Or the one thing we can say going in their favour is average shot distance. If we look at the average distance from goal shots are being taken against Spurs, they are second in the league last season and still very high this season in the Premier League, which to me suggests that they're a side that are very good at camping back. They do concede a lot of efforts. They're actually a shot negative side, meaning they concede more shots than they generate, but these shots are usually from speculative angles and positions where generally they're not a threat. If you look at expected goals against, they're not that low in the league. In a lot of ways, if you did see the match preview for the West Ham game, they're very similar to West Ham in that sense. They concede a lot of opportunities, but these are usually from speculative positions where they're not necessarily as much of a threat to the side. So I would imagine this Forest side can get a few good opportunities against Spurs, how they are at the moment. The final part of the stats section I wanted to talk about was their main man, Harry Kane, and just dissect some of the numbers beneath the hood for Harry Kane, because he is really still one of the best forwards in the world right now, despite the fact that he's knocking on 30 and has had some serious injury problems over the last 2 or 3 years. Since the beginning of last season, he's scored 19 Premier League goals, including 2 at the beginning of this campaign, as in the top 5% of forwards in Europe for shots per 90 minutes, expected assists and non-penalty expected goals and assists per 90 minutes, which really supports his development from a out-and-out number 9 goal-scoring forward into a deep-lying playmaking forward who can create chances just as well as he can score them himself. And when you look at his more possession-based metrics, he's such a big asset for this Spurs side, being second in the Spurs squad for progressive passes last season and leading the squad for attempted and completed dribbles. For a player who is quite big and quite bulky, he's surprisingly movable in that midfield and in the final third, and is very good at getting the ball upfield for what is quite a counter-attacking Spurs system. And generally, I would say he's probably one of the better punts in the Premier League this season for both Premier League Golden Boot winner and Playmaker Award winner come the end of this season. He'll probably be towards the top end of both metrics come the end of it. With that little bit of stat dissection out of the way though, let's talk a bit about the tactics surrounding the Spurs side and what makes them one of the better sides in the Premier League at the moment. So we're on the tactics board. As you can see, we've got Spurs in that sort of dusty, dirty white colour that this app has. Couldn't get a better white, unfortunately, so this will have to do. But so far in these match previews, I have to say, analysing Spurs tactics probably been the easiest so far. I feel like most people have a general idea of how Spurs line up in this sort of 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1 system that they play pretty much exclusively under Conte and that he's used in his previous clubs like Inter and Chelsea. In fact, if you weren't looking at injuries, you could probably name 1 to 11 the players in this side. Lloris, Romero, Dyer, Davies probably in that back three, Royale, and probably Reguilon or Sessegnon or Perisic on the left-hand side. Højbjerg, Basuma, maybe someone like Skip coming into the midfield, and then someone like Kulusevski, Son, and Kane leading the line. Generally, it's pretty easy to predict how Spurs are going to line up, barring for injuries and suspensions. Now, defensively, they're actually in a similar sense to Forest, in the sense that they can sit back very easily in a very compact back 7 shape, getting their 5 behind the ball nice and compact, and their 2 sitting midfielders sitting alongside the back 7. This really compresses central areas. It forces teams wide into creating chances, and we were talking earlier about average shot distance. They defend so deep and so compact that they do force teams into quite speculative efforts from distance. When they do win possession in their defensive third, they do look to get the ball up the field quite quickly. Kane is very much able to drop into these pockets of space between the lines. We know Kane does that. Everyone knows how Kane works, with Son occupying a much more advanced forward left-hand side position, and Kulusevski able to go into a similar position to that, or also able to drop deep for link-up play alongside Kane. He can also go more touchline tight and act like a more traditional winger on the counter-attack. It's very fluid, the way in which Spurs can counter-attack, although there is a great degree of structure in their system. Now, historically, in terms of attacking principles, there are several things that Conte's teams, again, historically, have been quite good at. One of them is overloading the ball side. He does like to play 2 wide centre-backs who are comfortable carrying the ball out from the back, and this can force quite aggressive overloads in these channels, say the left-hand side here, or obviously we can do the same on the right-hand side. And obviously this leaves a team like Forest, for example, if we had 3 players here, quite outnumbered, drags players out of position, vacates sort of large amounts of space in this sort of general area of the pitch, in these central areas, because it sort of sucks central players into these areas to sort of manage the overload, and it also then allows Kane to sort of occupy quite free areas of the pitch. And this then means that the fullbacks are able to overlap. Sometimes you will see this, Ben Davies especially, very comfortable in overlapping over his left-sided fullback, but generally holding quite an aggressive overloading shape on the ball side. And they're also able to quickly shift play over to the opposite ball side. Say we're playing a team like Forest here, sucking the players into baiting their press over to this side, leaving a bit of space on this side. They can quickly shift the ball through the lines over to the non-ball side, where there's going to be quite a lot of space for transition because the team's been sucked into pressing this side of the pitch. In terms of a weakness for Spurs going forward, I would argue it's probably Emerson Royale. Whilst he's put up solid attacking numbers in his Spurs career, one of my biggest issues with him is one-on-one. He isn't a very solid attacker. With Kulusevski liking to come and receive the ball in the half space, dropping between the lines, it often leaves him a lot of space to get up on the overlap, and one-on-one, trying to cross the ball into the box, work the ball down the line. I can think of a lot better right wing-back options in that position. He doesn't naturally want to be doing that, and I do think that could potentially give us the opportunity to bulk out that side of the pitch and just completely shut off the right-hand side and sort of more occupy the left, where we've got the likes of Son, Kane dropping into their positions, Sessegnon and Perisic very strong in the final third, and it might just let us sort of not necessarily forget about Emerson, but be less prioritised with him. Generally, as well, as an observation for Forest in terms of how we can beat this Spurs side or get a point at home against them, is there's going to be quite a lot of spaces in these areas of the pitch when their fullbacks get into quite advanced positions. And I think it's going to be very important that Brennan and Taiwo, assuming that they're the front two in this game, are attacking quite aggressively these sort of wide sort of outside spaces of the pitch and being able to get aggressively into these areas where they can make the run, because I think one-on-one against someone like Davies, I think Brennan probably would have the run on him, and I think Taiwo on the other side, whether it's against Davinson Sanchez or Christian Romero again, I feel like one-on-one Taiwo could have a good go at that, even with Dyer coming across and offering more support. And I think it's going to be important we target those areas when their wing-backs commit forward on the counter-attack. My final sort of suggestion for this Forest team, and I know it's something I've said in quite a lot of my recent videos, is just dropping Lingard or Gibbs-white, whoever's played at number 10, into the centre of midfield when we're out of possession, being nice and compact in a midfield three. And I think against Spurs, it's even more poignant. Kane's going to want to drop in between the lines. Kulusevski might choose to do that. You've obviously got Højbjerg and either someone like Skip or Bissouma occupying the central midfield positions. There's going to be quite often situations where we're outnumbered in this section of the pitch, and it will stretch our midfield quite thin. And I think having a compact midfield where they're forced to go around us rather than through us, with three central midfielders in there, like Lingard dropping in there alongside Mangala and O'Brien or Yates or whoever's playing on the day, I think that's going to be quite important to prevent the team just sort of peeling through us through central areas on the counter-attack with too much ease. In terms of an overall scoreline, I do actually think Forest could come away with a point in this match. Spurs have shown away from home that they can actually be quite vulnerable. I think some of their players are prone to losing concentration and losing their heads when the situation gets above them. And I do sort of back us to maybe have the composure, have the experience in the side to maybe come away with a point from this one. And especially with some of the fixtures coming up with Man City in the week, I think it's going to be very important that we try and give a really good account for ourselves. So I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw on the day against Tottenham Hotspur. Of course, though, let me know what you think the scoreline is going to be in the comment section down below. And whilst you're down there, don't forget to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single match preview or the last couple player profiles before the end of the summer transfer window. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your weekend, Reds. Enjoy the game if you're going. I will catch you later.